CBOE, and in less than 24 hours, the exchange had to trigger 2 trading halts due to the price action. Will these contracts give the cryptocurrency legitimacy or simply make it easier for institutional investors to short it? Just as Bitcoin euphoria goes mainstream, there you can see the futures contract trading above the actual underlying price that we see on some of the other exchanges, 17,790 for settlement in January. Joining us now, Spencer Bogard, head of research at Blockchain Capital, and Gene Munster from Loop Ventures. Guys, good to have you here. Gene, is there anything we can conclude as we approach the little more than 12 hours trading Bitcoin futures?
I think there are 2 things. First is Bitcoin or the broader blockchains here to stay. And second is we're in a near-term bubble. And I just want to put some perspective on this. Is typically you see movements of usage and where the currencies kind of move in tandem. In this case, the transaction volume, not the trading volume, is up 60% year over year. And the actual currency, Bitcoin currency, is up 1,400%. Your quick fact of the day here too is that 1,400% is the exact same that Amazon went their run, 11-month run, from May of 1998 until it peaked in April of 1999. So this 1,400% increase is a little bit of a daunting tale when you think about bubbles.
But still, to compare it to Amazon, a lot of people will hear that and say, but Amazon's now much higher today,
exactly.
And therefore, if Bitcoin follows the same trajectory, they're going to stick with it.
I think that's probably the right approach, is that this probably is going to take a natural pullback here in the next few months, but is fundamental to the future.
The natural pullback in Amazon was like 90%.
It was, yeah. It actually went down to $7.
Yeah, I mean, not to say that has to happen, but it's worth pointing that out.
Right, reminding people. Spencer, what do you think? Rakasani points out that the transaction volume, while rising, as Gene has pointed out, is still so small compared to gold, for example. What do you conclude after the first 12 hours plus of trading Bitcoin futures?
Listen, short-term trading action could go in any direction, but I think that overall, Bitcoin is absolutely in the first inning here. I mean, whether we look at the institutional side of the table here or the retail side of the table, we're absolutely in the first inning. Less than 2% of people own any Bitcoin on the retail side, 0% institutional ownership. I mean, right now with the futures market going live, I think most people would be crazy to try and aggressively short this market. I mean, let's think about the supply side of the situation here. Probably 80 to 90% of Bitcoin are locked up with long-term holders that have conviction in this asset. These are people who have been through up markets, down markets, multi-year bear markets, and extreme volatility. If you think that they're going to short because of a little downside on some futures trading, I'd be really surprised to see that.
Gene?
I think there's going to be a pullback here. I think that we've just have a disconnect for the near-term fundamentals of the amount of usage. I just want a quick kind of cautionary tale here as well. Is over the weekend, one of our analysts, Steve Van Sloan, was in an Uber, and the Uber driver asked him, how do you buy Bitcoin? And she actually purchased some, tried to purchase some at the end of the Uber ride. And I think when you hit that point, this is just too reminiscent of the .com and the real estate bubble. And so I'm in the camp, I'll also believe in this, but I think it's going to pull back.
Spencer, I'm told there's going to be thousands of cryptocurrencies. So you mentioned the lack of supply when it comes to Bitcoin itself, but I don't quite understand why it would retain value when there's going to be so many other cryptocurrencies out there.
None of them are Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the king of cryptocurrencies. Even the name cryptocurrency is a misnomer in itself. Bitcoin retains the greatest network effect, and it's going to continue. Other ones could challenge it, but overall, Bitcoin is definitely the largest here. Thinking of it in terms of transaction volume, I do think is helpful, but that too much relies on Bitcoin as a currency. We have to keep in mind that Bitcoin is like a platypus here. So just like the platypus has features that are, it's venomous, it's egg-laying, it's got a duck bill, beaver tail, and otter feet. Scientists thought this thing was so weird they had to make a new category for it. They believed it was a hoax at first and ultimately had to define its own category. Bitcoin is the same thing. It has features like a currency, features like a commodity, features like a fintech company, but it's actually not good at being any of those things. But it is great at being Bitcoin. We're talking about a new category, and we need to recontextualize the way we think about this.
Right. I'm trying to understand why this particular, whatever you want to call it at the moment, platypus, happens to be better than any other platypus that's going to come along. I mean, there's leapfrogging in technology, right? The Model A was really good until the Model T came out, and people traded up. What are the characteristics of Bitcoin that mean it's going to retain, besides the fact that everybody happens to be using it right now and it has first mover advantage, I could have said that about MySpace, right? And then it went away.
Absolutely.
What about Bitcoin makes it better?
Absolutely. I mean, listen, You're right. Something could absolutely challenge Bitcoin, but the reality is right now, Bitcoin has a gigantic network effect lead over anything else. It has that huge first mover advantage, and all of the on-ramps point to Bitcoin. When you go log on to any major exchange, that's the first thing that most people buy. Look at the institutionalization of this asset class right now. What are the first future products to roll out? What do you think the first ETPs will be? That's a first mover advantage that's only extending right now. It's not decreasing.
James, from your perspective as somebody who follows technology, broadly speaking here, the advances in blockchain, decentralized applications such as Bitcoin or Ethereum, do they have a significant future? Are we at the beginning of something new?
Yeah, I absolutely believe that. I think that this is a great case where they can do things better than traditional currencies. And not all industries are going to be impacted by it, but I think the whole concept of the blockchain, and again, who knows what currency is going to be the winner, is going to be structural and fundamental to how we transact value in the future.
Alrighty, guys. Sig, Spencer, and Gene, goes on and on.
Thanks so much.
When we come back, we're not going to talk about Bitcoin, at least for